Bred to Win, brought to you by Arrowfield, the home of four-time champion sire Schnitzel.
Hello, I'm Caroline Searcy. Welcome to Bred to Win, coming to you from the beautiful Hunter Valley of New South Wales after a great weekend of stallion parades featuring some of the finest thoroughbred horseflesh in the world. Coming up, we bring you the magnificent three-time Group 1 winner Hitotsu looking an absolute treat at Arrowfield Stud. And the flashy and fast Paulele at Darley Northwood in Victoria. Plus trainer Will Freedman on a front-running champion who beat a Freedman family favourite in the Melbourne Cup in Arrowfield Stud's Horse Who Made You Love Racing. But first, plenty of great pedigree updates in our Aushorse News. This past weekend was one of celebration and high hopes around the Hunter Valley of New South Wales as leading stud farms celebrated the deeds of their stallions and promoted them to thousands of people turning out for the annual parades. Arrowfield Stud's parade featured four-time champion Australian sire Schnitzel, while the Autumn Sun was popular on parade day, particularly off the back of his Black Opal Stakes-winning daughter Autumn Ballet winning the Silver Shadow Stakes last week. And the five-time Group 1 winner was just stunning in paddock shots will feature on Bred to Win in coming weeks.
Kintyre racer to the lead, Tom's on the scene.
Saturday's racing at Rose Hill in Sydney featured two time-honoured three-year-old group races, with the San Domenico Stakes featuring in our Inglis Graduate segment. The up-and-coming stakes was won by the imposing Darley Godolphin colt Tom Kitten, following on from his Fernhill Handicap win at 2. A son of July Cup and Haydock Sprint Cup winner Harry Angel, Tom Kitten is from Street Cry mare Transfers from the Twyla branch of the Redute's Choice family and is half-brother to Canberra Guineas winner Promotions. Harry Angel is by the UK speed-influenced Dark Angel and stands at Darley Kelvinside in New South Wales at a fee of $33,000.
But Acromantula, too fast.
The Moonee Valley feature, the Carline Stakes, went to Western Australian sprint star Acromantula, who went close to breaking the 1,000 metres track record. He's from the Bletchley Park mare For Your Eyes Only, a three-time listed winner of races such as the WA Chimcrack Stakes and 1,000 Guineas. Acromantula was bred and is raced by Alan Olive of Goldfront Thoroughbreds and was Written Tycoon's 53rd Stakes winner, with the former champion Australian sire standing this season at a private fee at Yulong Farm in Victoria.
Sione's going to crunch them late.
Having featured winning Rupert recently on Bred to Win, it was great to see this son of Written Tycoon featuring as the sire of Saturday's stakes race winner in Adelaide, the former Penny Edition, now the Leon McDonald Stakes. Sione is from Not a Single Doubt mare Mowgli, a half-sister to Hong Kong Group 1 winner Beat the Clock from Lion Hunter mare Flyin' Fanina. She was bred and sold by Yarraman Park and was an $80,000 Magic Millions buy for Joe O'Neill's Prime Thoroughbreds. Grandview Stud stand the handsome and fast winning Rupert this season in Queensland at a fee of only $7,700. In Belmont in Western Australia, the hugely popular Valor Road returned from a long break to win the listed Idyllic Prince Stakes. Now an 8-year-old, the son of Giants Causeway's son Frost Giant, was a Karrakatta Plate winner at 2, with earnings of over $1.5 million after being a $60,000 Perth Magic Millions yearling. His dam, Melba Avenue, is a half-sister to Raspberries from the Flavour and Sontag family. In New Zealand, the well-related and talented Dragon Leap was back to his best with victory in the Group 2 Foxbridge Plate. The son of Coolmore's Piero is from Redute's Choice's outstanding producing mare Pontiana, who's also thrown Randwick Guineas winner Inference and his dual stakes winning full brother by So You Think Elation.
Absurd on the near side, Sweet William and Live Your Dream in between them.
Overseas, and there were some great results for Coolmore's Fastnet Rock, with his son Absurd winning Saturday's Ebor Handicap and now a potential Melbourne Cup runner this spring for for Willie Mullins and Frankie Dettori. And Fastnet Rock's triple Group 1 winning daughter Sea Siren featured as the dam of Group 1 Yorkshire Oaks winner Warm Heart. It was a trifecta for Warm Heart's sire Galileo, a product of the wonderfully successful cross between Galileo and Fastnet Rock. Looking back to last week's feature, Yulong stud stallion Diatonic and the G1 Goldmine analysis focuses first on his outstanding Japanese sire Lord Kanaloa, a son of King Kamehameha. Lord Kanaloa has nicked best with mares by Smart Strike at 33% and also through Saddler's Well son Sligo Bay. Hard Spun nicks at a rate of 25% with Admire Vega, Tony Bin and Harbinger also featuring. Diatonic's dam To Harmony, being by Sunday Silence, shows a common pattern of success through other sons of Saddler's Wells in Opera House at 18% and Carnegie at 17%. American sires such as Fusaichi Pegasus, Lemon Drop Kid and Quiet American have also crossed well with Sunday Silence, as have Minor Love and the great global influence Galileo.
Libertad in front from Moravia.
The Inglis Graduate of the Week was the San Domenico Stakes winner Libertad. Racing in the Trilogy colours for Annabelle Neesham, he was originally sold by Rhinewood Pastoral to Nolan Racing at the Inglis Classic sale before being re-offered at the Ready to Race sale and bought by his trainer for $210,000. His sire Russian Revolution, a son of Snitzel, stands this season at Newgate Farm at a fee of $88,000 after a run of group winners this year, including Communist, Red Resistance, Revolutionary Miss and more. Arrowfield Stud has had a lot of success combining the great Japanese blood with our Aussie pedigrees and types. This spring they introduced the magnificent looking Hitotsu, a winner of 2 derbies and the Australian Guineas, and looking as if he'll put plenty of zip in his offspring. Hitotsu is just such a wonderful representative of everything Arrowfield is all about. A son of Morris, of course, who you stand here, who is an out-and-out superstar in Japan. It must be great to kind of welcome him home.
Yeah, it's what we always look for, Caroline. They're horses that we know really well, horses that we've bred, and we end up selling and buying back. We've had several of those become successful sires here before, and we're hoping Hitotsu is obviously the next one.
Here's Hitotsu though, finishing at a rate of knots.
Well, a triple Group 1 winner, of course, winning 2 derbies and an Australian Guineas. But I just loved seeing him here today. You know, he hasn't been here very long, and Joe's done a great job getting him looking absolutely magnificent.
Yeah, Joe's done a wonderful job. He looks magnificent, the horse. He's let down beautifully in a very short period of time. You know, he's had his little worries that he had when he was in training towards the end there. That obviously set his career short, but the way he's turned up and the condition that he's in, you can see he would have turned into an unbelievable 4- and 5-year-old. He was obviously quite a precocious horse, which you kind of forget about really when you think about his 3-year-old career, but that's obviously what Kieran saw and liked about the horse when they got the team together to purchase him. So he showed plenty early, which is going to be exciting for us, and see what his progeny. I think he'll be quite versatile, a lot like Maurice. His racing career and what he did as a 3-year-old, winning those 3 Group 1s in a row, just an extraordinary feat. I mean, I think the last one to do it was Mahogany back in '94. Since then, I think it's only been Dundee, I think was the last one to win 3 Group 1s as a 3-year-old consecutively. So it's a hell of a feat. And just putting my trainer's hat on for a moment, it's an unbelievable training performance by Kieran and his team.
Hitotsu is lifting from Benno the outside.
To be able to have a horse that can win a derby, then fresh up into the Australian Guineas and then win the other derby straight into it, it's almost impossible. It shows the quality training performance, but also the quality of the horse and the engine that he's obviously got, because it's near an impossibility to do that.
Some people say, oh, Dower Stayer. But winning that Australian Guinea showed that turn of foot that he had, and obviously, you know, an elite Group 1 winner over a mile.
Yeah, absolutely. And at Arrowfield, we like to stand horses with versatility. He's a horse that kind of had everything for us. He had the elite speed, obviously a big engine, showed the stamina that you want, and he's a great physical as well. He's the first son of Maurice to stud, and Maurice is obviously absolutely braining them all over the world. So I just think he's a great potential opportunity for breeders. I think he's in at value in the marketplace, and he should be very popular.
Well, he's standing at $22,000, which is just incredible too. And of course, he was bred here at Arrowfield, as we mentioned, in partnership from a Reduced Choice mare. So that's obviously fabulous as a champion broodmare sire. Love is Fickle, a half sister to Love Conquers All, who of course was a group winning stallion as well. She's Meaner, Lean Mean Machine, Ballistic Lover, who sold for $1 million. The family, they're just constant updates.
Yeah, it's a wonderful family, and a family of high quality horses. And I think at the end of the day, we're always looking for those elite stallions and horses that can throw, or stallions that can throw elite animals. And I think he definitely falls into that bracket. And that family obviously backs that up. And obviously, Kieran's team does a lot of analytics on the training. Talking to his team down there, they said that they've never had a faster horse, including all their sprinters, in training down at Ballarat. And he's got a massive stride length. And what the good horses have is stride length and frequency. And he obviously had both those things. So as he picked up speed, he was able to accelerate, and that's what really makes a champion horse. And with the stamina that he had, he was almost, he was unstoppable. So it's amazing to think what could have happened if he came back as an older horse, Cox plates and those things. And I've no doubt, was he not injured, he would have accomplished those very high feats. Morris is a truly international stallion. He's doing it in both hemispheres, and there's not many stallions that do that, to have that type of ability to be able to throw to different bloodlines. He obviously worked really well here with Reduced Choice mares. He's been a big success with that Danehill line. So over in Japan, they obviously don't have those lines, but nonetheless, he's doing it with the local blood over there and doing really, really well.
He's a really strong type horse, not like your average stayer. He's not that long, lean sort of horse. So you can see that he would have that versatility in what he'll throw. Yeah,
Hitotsu is a magnificent specimen. I mean, when you come to see him, he's probably not what people imagine when you look at Derby horses. He's got a lot of strength to him. He's got a lovely deep hip on him. He looks like you can see where the power comes from in that acceleration. So he's got a great back leg. He's very correct in conformation. So he's going to be easy to breed to. He's just a tick over 16 hands, so he's that nice medium-sized horse, and he's certainly an imposing type. So I always love to see good horses when I go to look at champions, and he's certainly one of those.
It's been a big weekend with the stallion parades here. Hundreds and hundreds of people coming through here at Arrowfield to see the stallions. It's a really, it's sort of like that peak of almost the beginning of the season. You have the new foals on the ground, etc. But it must be great fun to show these boys off. You must be so proud of them.
Oh, it is, and the feedback we've had on Hitotsu in particular has been amazing. So everyone that's come to see him, I think they've been really impressed. We've had a lot of very astute bloodstock agents and industry professionals come and look at him, and I think they've been quite surprised at what they've seen. They were expecting a bit of what you said before, kind of those staying types of horses, and he's certainly a horse that I think is going to show that versatility like his father has, and hopefully in due course he might be doing it on both hemispheres as well.
Such an elite racehorse, and Hitotsu will definitely be one of the stars of the Arrowfield Stud roster for years to come. Coming up after the break on Bred to Win, a Godolphin speedster, Paulele, a great new addition at Darley Northwood in Victoria, plus the Cambridge Stud Performance of the Week.
Getting up the inside is Unique Ambition, but Carazana sustaining that runner.
The Cambridge Stud Performance of the Week came at Canterbury in Sydney on Wednesday through a highly promising son of their own, Almanzor. Racing in the Neville Morgan colours, Carazana is from the Shamardale mare Empress Sixie and beat home a promising daughter of former Cambridge sire Tavistock, Unique Ambition. Carazana was a $440,000 Magic Millions yearling sold by Beamer Thoroughbreds to Chris Waller and Guy Mulcaster. As we showed you last week on Bred to Win, Almanzor has recently arrived back in New Zealand for the new season, where he'll stand at a fee of $50,000 NZ plus GST. Darley Australia is launching 2 new stallions this season. Animo, the 9-time Group 1 winner as featured on Bred To Win a few weeks ago, and Paulele, a great fit in Victoria at Darley Northwood. A stunning looking racehorse, he had huge popularity not only for his looks but his great racetrack performance. And it's wonderful to see so many people out here at the Victorian parade for Darley Stud, and so many great horses for them that have really attracted probably some people that haven't been here before, as well as the regulars.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful. We've obviously got our regular supporters that come and get amongst the day, but there's been a whole lot of people today that have never been to our Victorian Stadium Parade. So a lot of interstaters here, a lot of interested parties, so trainers, which was great to see them as well. So it's really cool when the trainers turn up, because they get that feel for what the stallions are, and obviously the stock that they may already have in their barn, or the stock they're going to be looking at yearling sales. So from that point of view, it's been a big success for us.
I just loved seeing some of the, Street Boss, obviously the sire of Animo, or you see Kermadec, and the wonderful things that he's done for now so many years. And then the international horses, your Blue Points and Gaiaths and Earthlights and so on. It's such a wonderful mix.
It is. It's a really good roster. There's eight stallions here, and it's great to have Street Boss here, sire of Animo, and Animo's career started here at well, he was conceived here at Northwood Park, and then to touch on Kermadec, his sire of 4 Group 1 winners, a really good value stallion. Blue Point was one of the most exciting prospects we have going at the moment, and started off extraordinarily well in the Northern Hemisphere and sold particularly well this year. And so yeah, and then to obviously add in our new boy Paulele. So yeah, it's great to show them off, and great that everyone's so enthused and so engaged in what we're doing.
Yeah, I think Paulele, watching people just around him with that lovely fuzzy sort of forelock, and he's such an eye-catching horse, isn't he? And of course he got the Group 1 in the Winterbottom, but he was a Group 1 horse right through his career, really.
Oh, he is. If you go through his race record, he mixed it with the best sprinters in the land all the way through, and we weren't shy in putting him in the deep end. He's a place getter and a TJ Smith. He was a very, very good 2-year-old in his own right, a brilliant 3-year-old. And then to top off a weight for age win in the Winterbottom. Every time he came off the training track, he just has charisma. He's such a dude. He's got that centre part of a forelock. He's got character, and he's been one of my favourites in my time at Godolphin, and very excited to see him here at Northwood Park.
From your point of view as the boss of Darley here in Australia, Chatoyant, who's there at Darley Woodlands with Johnny Sunderland, a retired broodmare now. There's so much history in the family of Paulele that so many people within Darley and around Australia would be so pleased to see him now standing at stud.
Yeah, and what you're touching on there is exactly right. The generations that we have with our horses, whether it's through the sideline or the dam, and a lot of them go back to the Ingham's days, the Woodland Studs days as well. And that's the thing that really engages our employees, all the Godolphin team. And somewhere along that journey, they've had something to do with every horse. And when we can retire a Paulele or an Animo to stud, everybody in our team has had their fingerprints on them at some stage, whether it's getting the mare in foal, foaling the mare down, educating a young horse, the foundational education of getting horses to the racetrack, getting the horses through the racing system, and whether it's a Carbine Lodge or Crown Lodge or Osborne Park, and then ultimately getting into the marketing team and marketing them here on Stadium Parade days. So everyone in a blue jacket gets spring in their step when you can do that. Our retired mares, they have a happy long life, looking after the weaned foals, and being sort of grandmothers, if you like. So it's all that generations, bringing that all together is very, very rewarding.
Andy, Paulele really has kind of not a cult following, but a real following, doesn't he? He's one of these really gorgeous colts on the racetrack, and he's transferred that now into being a beautiful looking stallion.
He's a lovely horse, always was. Beautiful foal all the way through, obviously a Godolphin homebred, and lovely from the start. He had great ability early doors, twice a Metropolitan winner pre-Christmas, which I always like to say, if he was a Magic Millions graduate or an Inglis graduate, he probably runs favourite to Magic Millions, runs favourite in an Inglis nursery. So high quality, high class, good looking as you mentioned, and yeah, we're delighted to have him here.
King of Sparta the outside, but Paulele's going great guns.
Of course, the 2-year-old stakes win. He won a kindergarten stakes himself too, so he ticks that box as the stakes winning 2-year-old too.
Yeah, it's a race we won with Bivouac and a Stern, so nice sort of launching pad for a young colt who's obviously got great precocity to be able to do it over the championships at Randwick, and then launch into their 3-year-old year.
Paulele's off and gone.
And I guess races like, the Rosebud, the Eskimo Prince, the Roman Consul going on, those are the races all the good colts find out.
Very significant 3-year-old races. Races like the Roman Consul, won by the likes of Exceed and Excel, Fastnet Rock, Zoo Star, Brazen Bow, Russian Revolution. So proper stallion defining race.
Paulele bursts through, takes the lead.
He was a well-travelled horse. So, when you're talking about stallions and their temperaments, this colt, of course, winning a Scalacci Stakes in Victoria, raced in Queensland. What was he like through his racing career?
We saw him here today. He's so relaxed. He's just very chilled out, calm horse. And I think it's testament to his temperament. He's very sound of mind, very sound of body. So you're looking at a horse who's a group winner at 2, 3 and 4. And he competed in Queensland, Western Australia, Victoria, New South Wales. So he could go everywhere, anytime. And even in the end, James Cummings was quite keen to train him on as a 5-year-old. So he's retired sound, which is a great attribute to have. A horse who's won 8 races from 24 starts. He's a well-travelled, tough, sound, durable racehorse.
Look at Paulele, kiss on all 4 cheeks, Paulele.
And of course the Group 1, it's so much, you really want these colts to win those Group 1s, don't you? And he did achieve that, of course, over in Western Australia in the Winterbottom Stakes. So again, that's a big venture for a horse to be able to go over there and win at the highest level.
It was well deserved. He was always Group 1 class. We had an unlucky run 2 years in a row in the Manikato. He was going to start very short price favourite as a 3-year-old. Got a temp, was put back a week, ran in the Coolmore instead. And the year after his short price favourite, the Storm came. And they called the races off and they came back the day after, you recall. So he had his opportunities at various times at Group 1 level, but certainly that was well deserved, the Winterbottom, and it was a slashing victory.
In terms of his pedigree, it's quite a fascinating stallion line. You're talking about Dawn Approach, by New Approach, you're talking about Epsom Derby winners, but of course Dawn Approach winning the Coventry, the National. He went on, won the St James's Palace, the 2000 Guineas. So this horse is going to have offspring that are going to be able to get out as 2-year-olds and train on.
You'd think so. That Galileo Settlers Wells line's obviously a prolific line. You bring into play that Urban Sea blood and the Fairy Bridge blood, and then on the dam side, really interesting, you see Rolls and Best to Show. So he's an amazing horse to breed to. So there'll be a lot of mare owners out there that will start to identify these little nicks, and I think he's a stallion that's going to be really interesting for a lot of broodmare owners.
And as a Group 1 winner, of course, homebred for Darley, it's always an interesting thing where these stallions are placed. Why does he fit into the Victorian breeding scene?
I think with that juvenile performance, he fits really well with that Vobis system, the Vobis side race. I think Victoria also was crying out for a new horse here. We didn't have a new one last year. Animo seemed to fit nicely in New South Wales. So on balance, bringing Street Boss back here and launching Paulele just seemed to be a really good mix for us. And he's an exciting horse and a good looking horse. We always liked him from the start. We always envisaged him to have a stallion career somewhere. We were desperate for him to tick off the Group 1, which he did. So in a way for us, he's like our Spirit of Boom, where he's out in a coney. He's a well-travelled, highly consistent, highly sound horse that I think will really suit the Victorian breeders.
And the Victorian operation, it really is important, really globally, to Darley Godolphin.
Oh, huge. If you actually analyse where the money's being spent from a breeding perspective, a lot of it's coming out of Victoria. A lot of very upmarket or boutique mare owners are here in Victoria. The spend is significant. So our operation here at Northwood Park is a very strong and important arm to what we do. And we support it with some very, very good stallions, and obviously a lot of our best horses have come off this farm as well. So we're here to stay in Victoria, don't worry about that.
Just love Paulele, and he will get so much support at Darley Northwood this spring. Coming up after the break on Bred to Win, the co-trainer with his father Richard, Will Freedman, with a great story in Arrowfield Stud's Horse Who Made You Love Racing.
It's a bit strange in many ways because obviously Lee, Richard, Anthony and Michael had so many good horses that I grew up with, but one that actually stuck out to me was a horse that actually beat us in the Melbourne Cup, and that was Might and Power. And when you're talking to people about equine athletes, often they'll tell you about the style a horse ran, if they were tough, if they flashed from behind like a Chautauqua, but a horse like Might and Power that was just able to go to the front, lead all the way and really knuckle down, and obviously was a terrific racehorse. And I love those horses that do it themselves. They take luck out of the equation. So obviously we were cheering for Doremus at the time and we thought we'd won the Melbourne Cup, but it was a lot of respect for a horse that's able to really push and dig deep, and obviously knew where the line was. Horses like that don't come around all that often, and I think those ones that are on pace to me, and as I was a kid, really stuck out. And I'm pretty sure when we were at home pretending we were jockeys with my cousins, I was always pretending I was on Might and Power as long as my father and his uncles weren't around at the time. When these horses retire and they go and have their life after racing, and you hear many, many years later that they've passed, it almost feels like you're getting broken up with by a girlfriend. It's like you feel like a part of racing has just left you. And I think when you have that emotional feeling to those sorts of horses, then you really realise how significant they were to you. So, I mean, you could say the same for Sub-Zero. When Sub-Zero passed away, it really felt like racing took a hit. And I think Might and Power is certainly one of those types for me. And I just feel that you don't get too many of them come along. There's always a champion in their day, but there's very few that sort of resonates like that to me.
And you were young, so we're talking about, the industry talking about 18 to 25s and we need to do this and that to attract them. It starts before that, doesn't it? The love of the horse, for people getting in. You've done the Flying Start course, getting into the industry. It starts when you're much younger.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a market that you capture at that really young age, and I think the racing industry as a whole is getting better at exposing young children, and not even young children, just children in general, to the athletes, and giving them access and getting to know these horses. And people forget at times that horses have personalities, and that sometimes that's a trait that we can give off to the public, and I think that's a really important part. And I think the social media trends are all showing that now, and people are genuinely interested in these animals and how they respond to training and how they are in the stable. And I think the personal attachment is built from that level, and then obviously when they go and win their big races and seeing them in full flight, I mean, it's really a sport that you want to watch in person to really grasp that love of it. And yeah, I'll always remember being at the top of the grandstand watching Might and Power pip us, but it's really stood out.
That is Bred to Win for this week. Make sure you tune in next week as we bring you Dubious and Graph at Kitchwin Hills, at one of the most popular stallion parade venues in the Hunter, and Epsom winner Ellsberg at Murella Stud near Scone. That and much more next week. I'm Caroline Searcy. I look forward to seeing you then.
Bred to Win, brought to you by Arrowfield, the home of 4-time champion sire Snitzel.